Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joanne Kandrak and Kelly Cole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hi, everybody. This is Joanne Kandrak, and you are listening to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole. This is episode 38, and today we're talking about everything you need to know about rugs. I am so excited to have Lauren Jordal of SURYA'S Rugs as our guest today. She is an expert with rugs, and she's going to tell us all about the diverse ranges of lifestyles, rug history, the trends, and so much more. So welcome, Lauren. And I would love for you to tell everybody a little about yourself and how you came to be the rug expert at SURYA.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me here. So I have loved textiles my entire life. I grew up with both sides of my family really working on lots of textile crafts. So I was so excited when I started at Savannah College of Art and Design to learn that they had a fibers department, which is essentially textile design. And that's where I was first exposed to rugs and those histories and deep traditions that come with rug making. And so after college, I started as a rug designer at SURYA, and later became the design manager over rugs and textiles at SURYA. And as I was doing that, I always found lots of time at work and at home to really dig in and research more about rugs. I just can't learn enough about rugs.
That's so great. And you're young too, so that says a lot. I know that so many people that we talk to that are in this industry or anything creative, there's generally something from their childhood or things that they've been exposed to that really make a difference as to what they end up doing in their life. So when you say the things your family, like what do you mean? Like what kind of things were you exposed to?
So on my mom's side, my grandmother and my mom both sew. They made a lot of their own clothing and clothing for their children, and also did some embroidery, which is so fun to look back at all of those pieces that they've made over the years. And on my dad's side, his mother has always done really beautiful, intricate knitting, and also some embroidery as well, and cross stitch. And so I grew up really surrounded by that and learned all those techniques from them.
I'm hearing you say that, and I'm hoping this is not a lost art. I mean, because I just don't know if these, dang phones have taken the place of us doing, handiwork. So I hope not, because I think it's so great. So let's talk about, we really love SURYA. They have such a diverse range of lifestyles and budgets and colors and all that. So tell me about some of their styles, because some of these will be familiar to some of us, but some not. So what can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So there's definitely four main styles that kind of capture the environments that most people fall into. And at SURYA, within each of those four styles, we try to hit every single price point. So no matter what kind of environment or space you're working on, there's something for that particular project. So the first big lifestyle that we've actually seen a huge increase in people gravitating towards the style, we're calling young traditionalist. And this is really about traditional pieces that are a little bit updated. They have some sort of modern twist to them. So here there's a lot of neutral tones and textures that are layered to create a sense of comfort. At the same time, it's really polished and thoughtful. And in this lifestyle, it's important to incorporate a lot of artisan crafted products and some antiqued finishes are really
that's
nice
probably
too.
where I fall in, but let's keep going. Maybe I fall into all of these. Let's see.
Sure. Next is the Duke and Duchess, which is more of a traditional lifestyle. It has a little bit of that Regency feel. So this is rich, a little bit formal, but still approachable. Architectural elements are important here, and really deep, rich tones and colors. And then there's the third one I'm going to talk about a little bit is the World Traveler. This is very much a global bohemian lifestyle.
That would be Kelly's style right now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm, the world traveler.
Yeah, I love this style as well.
And the bohemian style we do love.
Nice. Yeah. So this is all about creating that curated look, as if you've traveled the world and brought home all of these beautiful pieces from all different corners of the earth. So this has a lot of varying patterns and scales and textures that really bring a lot of interest.
I'm sure there's a lot of color in this one too.
Absolutely.
Because when I think about India and I think about even Guatemala, where we go to a lot, like the colors are just so deep and rich and
absolutely, yeah, really vibrant. And then last year is the Urbansophisticate. So this is modern, and it's modern with a really fresh new look. So it's taking those clean lines, sleek curved shapes, but also blending in lush textiles, rich colors combined with muted colors and some shimmering metallic accents. So to kind of summarize there, we have like the updated traditional, a really true traditional style, global bohemian, and modern. And those four lifestyles really encompass what we're seeing most prevalent in the world today.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So, you said that you studied a lot about rug history. Tell us, maybe like the handmade, like what is the history behind all of it?
Absolutely. So cultures all around the world throughout history have made rugs using different techniques, using the materials that were available in that region, using the colors that they could dye, using natural materials in that region. So there's so much rug history. I could talk for days about it, but really what's most prevalent, what has really stood the test of time are those rugs that come from, really, it follows the Silk Road. So if you start in Turkey, go through ancient Persia, through Nepal, Tibet, and into China. In those regions, really thousands of years ago, they were making these incredible masterpieces that were rugs just to provide warmth and comfort. And in each region, they were doing different techniques, but all of them were doing hand knotting, which is where you're knotting every single yarn in the rug one by one by hand. It's incredibly tedious and time consuming. And back in those days, there were no drawings or maps that they were using to create these really intricate symbolic designs. Most of them were done from memory, so it could take a lifetime to master this craft.
That's incredible. Incredible.
It really is unbelievable. And I love that we have so many antique rugs that have survived for thousands of years, that we can look back at that history. So many of those techniques, those hand knotting techniques, were adopted by India over time, because India is right there nearby all of those regions. And they also adopted some hand weaving techniques, which is a technique that doesn't take nearly as much time, but it is still made by hand, still takes quite a lot of work. And it doesn't have any pile, so it's a flat surface, much thinner than a hand-knotted rug. So India has adopted all of those, and they continue to be a really huge exporter of handmade rugs to this day, because they have such a thriving handicraft industry.
I remember Kelly and I were at ADAC a few years ago, and there was someone in one of the showrooms that was actually doing the weaving right there. And to watch their handiwork, and I think they told us how long it took. Like, I don't even remember the length of time, but we were like, no wonder these are considered an investment, and no wonder they cost so much money. Once you know the story or the history behind it, it is definitely a one-of-a-kind piece.
Absolutely. An 8x10 hand-knotted rug can easily take 9 months to create, and often you'll have more than one person working on that rug for 9 months. It's pretty incredible.
We go to a lot of show houses, and many times you will see these kinds of rugs in show houses. I mean, they can withstand traffic, and sometimes the older they are, the better they look.
Yes.
There's really nothing like a handmade rug.
Absolutely.
What can you expect to pay? Let's just say for like I know they're never the exact size, but let's just say like an 8x10 true handmade rug.
So there's actually a huge variation here. So it depends on two main things. One is the size of the knots, and that's very kind of old school rug is looking at the size of the knots, and the smaller the knot, the longer it takes to make, the more expensive it is. And also looking at the material. So if you're using very high-end lustrous wool, that's going to be more expensive than using just a standard wool. So you could, for an 8x10, expect to pay retail probably anywhere from $1,500 for the sort of that entry level hand knotted, up to $10,000 or even $20,000 for some of those.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. So, so we're talking about the different styles and construction, and what's kind of trending in rugs, would you say, right now?
So the thing that we are seeing trending in a huge way are textural rugs that are chunky. They have that sort of oversized knit look and feel, very cozy. These are typically going to be hand woven on a loom that's either a pit loom or a pendule loom. That's a little bit technical. It's not really necessary to know those terms.
I don't know what she's talking about.
But these are pretty rudimentary looms that allow the weavers to do those really chunky yarns and get that nice, heavy, cozy feel. Aside from the textural rugs, traditional hand-knotted rugs, that's really something that's evergreen. Those like traditional Persian, Turkish, or Oriental patterns and hand-knotted, those are always popular.
Kind of the staple, really.
Yes. And even though it's a staple, we're definitely seeing an uptick. More and more people are coming for these types of rugs these days because they're so beautiful. They stand the test of time.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is not a rug that you're going to, just use for, a couple years. These are things that could be handed down. These
Absolutely.
are like I said, the investment piece.
Yes, a hand-knotted rug can easily last for generations. Absolutely. Another type of design that we are seeing a huge trend in our Moroccan designs. And Moroccan designs have been around for several years. They've been popular for several years. But we've been seeing those large-scale, very open designs that have the black lines on the white background. And now we're slowly seeing this transition where that's being overtaken by Moroccan designs that are a little bit smaller scale, more tonal colors, and not necessarily shag. So it's the same inspiration, it's from the same region, but a different take on it, a little bit updated, which
I know
is nice.
So many of our designer friends, and it's a dream of ours, Kelly and I, to go to Morocco. But I think it's really, I think globally what we're seeing, and even with the Jungalow that Justina Blakeney, who has kind of that Jungalow bohemian vibe, that look is awesome.
Yes, and I think it's going to stick around for a long time. So it's just about evolving, and making it new. We definitely are also seeing hides and sheepskins as an important style of rug. And this is something that was pretty niche until recently, and now it's becoming very mainstream. So there are hide rugs, and Surya has a Medora collection that's really beautiful that mixes those patches of hides with patches of woven material. So it has a nice contrast of material, and it also brings the price down a little bit because natural hide is quite expensive.
Right, I love that. Or I see a lot of like sisal rugs and then layered with a hide on top of it.
Yes, absolutely. And those natural hide shapes is really beautiful. And sheepskins have also been picking up in a huge way, and I think it's going back to that textural thing. They're very cozy and
everybody's
very
looking
warm.
for the soft and cozy. Yeah,
definitely. And in more of a modern look, tonal geometrics are huge right now. And so there's a quartz collection at Surya that I can't recommend enough. It goes with everything.
What's the collection?
Quartz.
Okay.
And it is hand tufted. So that's a technique where they're pushing yarns through a canvas to the front of the rug, and it creates a pile. I think of it a little bit like paint by numbers. You can fill in those yarns into those shapes. And it's a very small scale collection with these rhythmic, repetitive designs. So it's almost like having a texture, but it's very modern look, very sleek.
Love that. Okay, so let's talk about like what types of rugs to use in different spaces. I know, for example, we get a lot of calls from people looking to put stair runners on their rugs. So what's good for high? I know wool probably good for high traffic, but I've also seen in some show houses some sisals that are on the stairs. Like, is that a good?
So sisal is quite durable. It has a mild amount of shedding, but it's not going to last as long as a wool or a synthetic rug. So I would say it's good for medium traffic, but maybe not great for high traffic areas. For high traffic areas, you can go one of two directions. One is that hand knotted high end wool, which is going to last a lifetime and beyond, even in high traffic, with just a little bit of TLC. The other direction you can go is a machine made synthetic rug. And even 5 years ago, those rugs had a really negative perception out there in the world.
And I've seen them, and actually we used a couple of those in our thrift studio space.
Oh, yeah.
And there were so many people that came over and said, wow, it looks really like the antique rugs.
Yes, I've been fooled looking at some from across the room.
The price point is ridiculous.
Yes,
they're really, really awesome.
And there's so much innovation in the different types of yarns they're using and the mixing of colors. So you can get incredible looks in those affordable price points. Okay,
so another question that we get asked a lot is how to choose the right size rug. With all of the hardwood, that people are doing, on maybe the entire first floor or in bedrooms, a lot of people will say, if I want to put a rug just to soften up, like what size do I go with?
So in a bedroom, for example, I would typically recommend an 8x10 or larger because you want to be able to place it under the bed and have it extend out on both sides and from the end.
Yeah. So would you kind of put it in front of like the nightstands?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
that's what we've been doing. All right. So we've been doing it right. Good.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
And now dining room, should all the chairs be on that rug? How far from the wall should it be? Yes.
I definitely, you want all your chairs to be on the rug. Even when people are pulling out those chairs so that they can sit down, you want to make sure that they're still on that rug so that you don't end up, tripping up over the edge or anything.
Okay. Gotcha. And then entry rugs, I guess it probably just depends on the size of the entry.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah. So you have so much. I could probably go on and ask you a lot about the history, but I just want to talk about Surya for a minute because Surya is one of our favorite rug lines. They have so many benefits for designers. They have a swatch program that is incredible. They also have Pantone colors. So if you're looking at something on the screen online and you're not sure if that color is going to work, because I've been burned many times by trying to choose something online, but it'll give you the Pantone colors, and then we have the swatches here to be able to check that. They have custom size options, so things can be bound and serged. Talk about that for a second, Lauren. Like, what's the difference between binding and serging, and how does Surya, how would you go about doing that?
Okay, so binding is a thin mesh that's used on the edge of the rug to hold everything in place. And then the serging is what goes over the top of that. So that's the yarn on the edge of the rug that you can see. So the binding you can't really see.
Okay.
It goes underneath that serging to hold everything in place. And so at Surya, we carry over 200 designs that can be cut and then bound in any size or shape. It's really limitless. Anything you can imagine, we can do.
That's really cool. I know when we did the Cartersville Show House, one of the designers had kind of a strange space, and she did like it curved, and she was able to just get it so it was perfect, and you knew great. that's got to be a custom deal. So
yes, and that's a lead time of less than 1 week, which I think is pretty incredible.
Is it really
for a custom size? Yes.
Oh wow, that's great. Okay, so Surya does other things besides rugs. They do lighting, pillows and throws, accent furniture, wall decor, accents, bedding. I mean, I don't think most people knew that. So I know that there was a method to that madness when Surya decided to carry all those things. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yes. So Surya really wants to be the one-stop shop. We want to make it very easy to coordinate an entire room and buy it from one source. So it just simplifies the buying process. So we've taken those main lifestyles that we talked about at the top and incorporated those and incorporated some consistent color palettes across all of those different products so that it's easy to coordinate.
So smart. One of the things I love that Surya does, it's the poofs.
Oh, yes. Those are so fun.
We do a lot of those. Yeah, I really like those. Great. All right. So one other thing that Kelly and I really love about Surya is their social responsibility. They are involved in not just a couple of charity organizations, several.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about those?
Absolutely. And these are programs that we're involved in year round. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Project Mala, which is working to eradicate child labor from the carpet industry in India. And part of the way that they're doing that is by providing education, hot meals, and healthcare for children in remote villages. We also work with Akshaya Patra, which is the world's largest NGO-run midday meal program. They provide an incentive for kids to go to school and stay in school by providing lunch. Otherwise, a lot of kids would actually have to work that school day just so they could earn enough money to pay for their meal that day. So they're providing that meal for the kids so that they can come to school.
That's amazing.
Yes. It is incredible. We also work with Pain-Free Patriots, which provide medical grants to military vets. March of Dimes, which is working on education and prevention of birth defects, premature birth, and infant mortality. And City of Hope, which is doing incredible research into cures and treatments for cancer, diabetes, and other serious illnesses.
That is so unbelievable. I mean, I don't know of any other company that is involved in all of that. And they're all such great projects. I give big hats off to Surya for doing that. And Lauren, I really appreciate you coming and telling us all this. I know there's so much more that's in your brain that we just don't have time to share, but we always end with our inspirational quote and our funny quote. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the inspirational quote, and I'll let Lauren read our funny quote. So the inspirational quote, and of course I'm going to give a little nod to Kelly again. We travel because we need to, because distance and difference are the secret tonic to creativity. When we get home is still the same, but something in our minds has changed. And that changes everything. And that is so true.
That's beautiful.
Okay, go ahead, our funny quote.
Our funny quote for today is, remember, if you lose a sock in the dryer, it comes back as a Tupperware lid that doesn't fit any of your containers.
Is that
also extremely true? Yes.
Is that not the truth?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Well, everybody, I really appreciate you listening. I'm hoping that we may have helped you learn a few new things about rugs that we did not know. I have learned a couple of things here, and really appreciate what Surya does for the world and helps us designers. And if you are interested in seeing some of these rugs, you can go on to Surya, SURYA.com. And have a great week. Thank you, Lauren.
Thanks so much for having me.
Join Joanne and Kelly weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kandrak-Cole. And of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrak-cole.com for more information.